Okay, here we go. The research essay. About 6 or so weeks, depending on your options. We're going to be spending on this very big, very important assignment. And this whole process begins here in week 7, which is what I'm going to walk you through right now. I'm only showing myself so that you know that I'm serious. What can I do besides talk over what I've already written here? Not a lot to do this week except prepare. And my goodness, that's an important phase that so often gets overlooked in many endeavors, really. People just plunge headlong into assignments, professional assignments even, and without a proper level of preparation, I think their chances for success are extremely limited. And that's true of this big assignment as well. And so, yes, I'm trying to teach you the ins and outs of primary research and argumentation and idea organization, paragraph development, even citation and formatting, all those things. Yes, that's my job, but it's also, I'd like to think, my job to make you a better student as well. And so this is going to be a real test of your time management abilities. The real rub here is that if you're watching a screencast, either you're being forced to in a classroom or you're watching it of your own volition, which means that you probably don't need to hear that from me, but all the same, time management is absolutely essential to success. Trust me, I've seen it go the other way, and with a lot of people. So you have to choose a topic for this essay, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But I don't want you spinning your wheels and hemming and hawing about what makes the best topic. So often in a research essay, the process of discovery is what really drives us. So you can start getting into research with a vague idea of what you may want to work on for this assignment. And in the process of reading up on your subject, you will get smarter about it. And you may find something that just seems to fall from the sky and right into your lap and say, this is exactly what I want to spend my time on for this essay. Believe me, it's fine to have a sort of very rigid idea of, here's the box I'm going to work in for this assignment. Some people that works great. Other people they can feel quite confined by that box once they hit the books to research. Once they start collecting primary research data, that box can be awfully confining. So the big thing is bring me in on it. I love talking topics with people. If this were a face-to-face class, you would, each and every one of you, make an appointment with me to come to my office, sit in my office with me, and just talk for 15 minutes about what you may or may not like to write this essay about. That's really how I enjoy helping students arrive at topics in this online setting where I'm in one place and you mostly are in another place that you really can't, leave without certain exceptions. That makes that a little bit tougher. It doesn't make it impossible, but we can have a Skype session. I Skype with plenty of students in the evening hours. We can have a phone conversation. I don't mind us, getting on the phone and talking about, topics or questions that you have. I can also make a visit. High school visits happen quite a bit during this intro to the research essay phase of the semester. So if you want me to come in person and either talk topics with you all or talk about the parameters of this assignment, this is a really good time to do so. And historically speaking, lots of classes have asked me to do so. So if you want me in person, have your teacher email me, or you can just email me directly and we can start the discussion that way as well. But in the meantime, let's keep in touch digitally as much as you want. Well, I can't say this for every single student, but if the first time I learn about your topic is when I'm grading your final draft, or if I'm, I guess, reading a discussion board post, it's not impossible that you'll succeed, but it's less likely. Say that. Okay, so anyway, do I have this date right? Let me check real quick. This is going to be pretty exciting for you. March 6th. I do all these dates in a very quick way. Yes, I do. All right. So Monday, March 6th. Well, you're watching this first screencast that I'm recording on my President's Day off. And by all means, hey, happy President's Day, everybody. So watch all these screencasts. I just made the intro to the research essay. I just made looking for sources. Help with composing a research question. I like this one. This one's a year old, but I like how I did it. These three are all fresh. They're all brand new. So enjoy. I'm wearing the shirt in all of them. Let's see. So you really want to spend time thinking about what sort of research question you want to ask, okay? And again, I think this often comes in the process of discovery, like where you want to write about, activity trackers, right, and their role, or smart home devices, and how they change how we spend time in our kitchens. And so, if you start with a vague idea, chances are, in the process of looking that subject up, you're going to land on something that's going to jump out at you, a significant subject, a something significant. It's usually going to be in a recently published article or study, or just could be a small detail in a larger work that you find. So yes or no questions are a path to, I won't say disaster, but something close to it. Uh, if you ask questions that can provoke multiple, correct responses, well, then you are setting yourself up to be debatable, argumentative, rhetorical in nature. You have to support your claims, and so that readers who might be skeptical of them have to come around to your point of view. All sorts of good things happen. What I'm really talking about here is this phrase, academic inquiry. All right, so do I have to read these out loud to you? I really don't like screencasts that do that, but why questions are always really good. Why do we spend so much time in our phones? Why do we obsess on our activity trackers? How many steps we have in a day, but don't pay attention to what we eat? That sort of thing. So where does something come from? Who's to blame for a problem that you want to write about? I really always like how questions, because your solutions are, chances are, they're going to be different from mine. And as a result, we're right into argumentative, debatable territory. So if you start off with like yes, no question, like, are cell phones bad? Can technology change relationships? Like, of course they do. Yes, of course it is. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room for debate there. So if you just write, well, technology, they really change modern relationships, there's a real kind of no duh aspect to that approach that I don't know if you can come back from it, because you're not going to be telling me anything I don't already know. It changes the way we communicate. It changes how often we are in contact with each other. There's something to be said for technology and relationships, or technology and bullying, but you need to add fresh thinking, and that's something that I'm going to talk more about next week. But your argument needs to contribute something new, something significant that people haven't been thinking hard enough about yet. And if you're just writing, cell phones, make me a better boyfriend, like, I don't know, nobody knows, and nobody cares. So if you can think about like how questions, like if you want to identify, like, the classic example I use the most is the obesity epidemic in this country, or in Ohio, or if you like Stark County. We are much more overweight and obese than we ever were, especially like you go back 2 generations. Well, whose fault is that? What can we do about it? What role does technology play? Those questions get a little more interesting, because for every stereotypical gamer out there that is supposed to be sitting on their mom's couch in their parents' basement for the first 35 years of their life, like, I know plenty of guys that play video games and are skinny and healthy and eat well and are socially adjusted, that sort of thing. So there's a level of investigation that you can get into in that way. You're probably you're going to want to write about something that has some sort of access to your lives, and I certainly appreciate that. I said this in which screencast, and the intro to the research essay screencast, but I'll say it again just in case you don't watch each and every one of my screencasts. The relationship to technology for this assignment, it can be as pumped up or as deflated as you'd like. Okay, so if you really are excited to continue investigating technology as a prime factor of American culture or of your life, completely in. I'm in. Keep doing it. If you are burnt out on the idea of technology and you never really liked it in the first place, well, first of all, apologies. I guess I have to pick a theme, and this is as good as I can come up with in terms of what do we all have in common. We almost all have our devices around us. So if you are burned out, pick any topic you want, and we'll make technology at least a very minor component of it, and we'll both feel good about it. Okay. So best course of action, I always like these ones too. Like, what do they say about us? What does our password sharing have to say about us? I read that not too long ago, that the newest form of sort of relationship intimacy is sharing passwords, couples sharing passwords. So what does that say about us? Like, how has that changed in terms of our conceptions of intimacy and trust, that sort of thing? So something, what does that say about us? That's a very English major way to approach this subject, and I'm all for it. All right, so we got 5 minutes left here. There's a whole big research essay shared folder, and this is one of those trickier parts where you just have to make your way through this stuff. I'm not going to make a screencast for each and every one of these because I would assign this stuff as homework if this were a face-to-face class. But tips for success, links to research essay resources. I will click on this one real quick. But all the assignments are in this folder. There's research design, so you have to do primary research. You have to, conduct an interview, conduct an observation, distribute a survey, pass out a questionnaire. You have to generate some of the research for this assignment, and these are all presentations meant to help you do that. Research articles. All right, so about discovery-based research and coherence and being persuasive. This folder is going to be very helpful because there's lots of sample essays in there, and there's also tips and suggestions outside of this presentation that I'm going to make a screencast about in weeks to come. So here are all these too: citation styles, incorporating quotes, research questions, sources, quotes, citation help, etc. So make your way through these materials, okay? The sooner you start getting through them, the better. Let's see. So I have this mammoth Padlet, fancy term for this is back channeling. I've had this Padlet going for a couple of years now. As you can see, it's completely lousy with posts already of articles that students in the past have found interesting and useful and worth pondering for their research project. So you're going to add to this. So you may be down here. You might, all you got to do is you double click, and then you can start working on a blank space. And of course, there are lots of spaces down here where you can find couple of, and it adds and gets bigger and wider, but you'll have to add to that. I will add to it as well when I find articles that I think may generate. They can be videos, like the prompt says. If I were to go back to that window, it can be anything. It can be a YouTube video that you come across. It can be an article, of course, a book. It could be an idea you had, sitting in church. Whatever it is, share it. So there are websites that are more, down that tech-related path. Still useful, like The Verge. I know many of you read this already. Wired is a good one too. Gizmodo, OK, part of the Gawker network, or the former Gawker network. I really get a lot of inspiration from movies for my own professional work, and you're allowed to as well. Excuse me. Oh, my nose is just so itchy. It's because I know I shouldn't be scratching it. And there's lots of technology-related podcasts out there, so check one out. So Invention Journal number 5. I feel like it'll speak for itself. My computer is way slow because I'm on my laptop and it is old. I'm surprised it still works. My kids are trying to destroy it through use of abcmouse.com. So far, I'd say they're pretty effective. So take me on the journey that led you to your research essay topic. Lots of fun ways to do that, okay? So what led you to it? Embed or provide a video. Post a couple pictures, incorporate links. So this is like here's all the stuff I've done so far to pick a good topic. All right. And this is also my way of making sure that you have a topic quicker rather than slower. Or I guess it comes out of your grade. So, there's a spreadsheet that I need to clean up that you can also see what others have done before. Maybe I'll leave it with students from last year. I had a pretty good batch last year. And then 6 and 7, Invention Journal 6 and 7, will be completed next week, or in week 8. But the last part of Invention Journal 6 and 7 is, what advice do you give to future students? And so it's always a good idea to go back and see what that advice is, because they're students who are a little further along in the process than you are. And so I like that sort of recursive nature, and you'll do the same thing. So next year, if I'm lucky enough to teach this class again, I will share your suggestions with other people. Then you have some research questions, forum to complete. Sooner you start reading chapters 19, 20, 21, the better. And again, I don't teach too much from the textbook, but you are responsible for that material. Okay. Week 8. Okay, I will save this stuff for later. You can read this a little bit later in your spare time. So let me go big or go home real quick. All right, I have 10 seconds left. Good luck. I really do love working with students on this project. I hope you find it rewarding, and I promise to be helpful at every single phase of the writing process. All you need to do is get in touch with me.